cancer. Just the sound of the word can send a chill through your body. For many of us past 60, it's not some distant concern. It's real. Maybe it's something we've faced ourselves. Maybe it's touched our spouse, our sibling, or an old friend from church. You hear the word in conversations more often than you'd like. You see it on medical charts, hear it in late-night phone calls. And no matter how many pills the doctors prescribe or how many appointments you attend, there's always that little whisper of worry in the back of your mind. What if? What if it comes back? What if I'm next? You see, we were raised to believe that modern medicine had all the answers, that if we just followed instructions, took the right drugs, did what we were told, everything would be okay. But here's the reality many are waking up to. Despite all the pills, despite all the machines and fancy hospitals, cancer isn't slowing down. In fact, the number of cases is rising every year. You probably know more people with cancer today than you did 10 years ago. That's not your imagination. That's real. And the reasons? They're not always in the textbooks. Because while science focuses on treating the disease once it's arrived, not enough is said about how we live our lives before it knocks on our door. Our food has changed. Our soil is depleted. Stress is constant. Sleep is broken. And the body's defenses? They're more fragile than we care to admit. Now, before you think this is just another scare tactic, let me pause. Because what I'm about to share is not about fear. It's about hope. It's about 6 tiny things, small enough to fit in your palm, that can quietly, gently help your body become more resilient. Seeds. Yes, humble, simple seeds. You might walk past them every time you go to the store. You might have them in your kitchen right now. But inside these seeds are compounds and nutrients that some researchers believe can help the body resist the growth of abnormal cells. They don't come with a prescription. They don't have commercials. They don't cost a fortune. And yet, they may just be one of nature's most underrated weapons in our fight for health. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Can seeds really make a difference? Let me answer that with a question. Have you ever seen what a single seed can grow into? One tiny pumpkin seed can turn into a vine that feeds a family. One almond seed can become a towering tree. That's the power of life wrapped inside a seed. And some of these seeds contain plant compounds that may reduce inflammation, protect our DNA, even slow the spread of abnormal cells in the body. You don't need to be a nutritionist to understand this. You just need to be open to the idea that sometimes the answers aren't in a lab. Sometimes they're in your pantry. And today, I want to walk you through 6 remarkable seeds. Some are familiar, others may surprise you. But every one of them has a story and a benefit you deserve to know. These are not magic bullets, but when used wisely, they can support your immune system, your digestion, and your energy. They can help you sleep better, move better, feel calmer, and yes, maybe even help your body guard itself against cancer's advance. Before we go further, I want to pause for a second. If anything I've said so far feels familiar, if cancer has touched your life or the life of someone you love, would you take a moment to let me know in the comments? You don't have to share details, just a simple yes, or even a heart emoji. Why? Because when we see others going through the same things, we feel less alone. And if you find this helpful so far, would you consider liking this video or sharing it with someone you care about? Sometimes the right information, at the right moment, can make all the difference. Now, back to the seeds. What's beautiful about this approach is its simplicity. We're not talking about radical diets or complicated supplements. We're talking about adding a tablespoon of something to your morning cereal, sprinkling a handful on your salad, roasting a few seeds with a little olive oil for a snack. Small acts, gentle steps. But as you'll soon see, small doesn't mean weak. In fact, seed number 6 might be one of the most powerful natural supports we've come across. Yet, hardly anyone talks about it. So I hope you'll stay with me through the end. You deserve to know what your options are. Because this isn't just about living longer. It's about living better, with less fear, more energy, and the quiet joy of knowing you're doing something good for yourself every single day. So take a deep breath, grab a cup of tea, and let's begin with the first seed. Most of us were taught the same thing growing up: that health comes from hospitals, that strength comes from doctors, and if something serious ever happens, like cancer, then only medicine, surgery, or chemotherapy can help. And so, we wait. We go about our daily lives hoping nothing happens. We trust that the yearly checkup will catch anything dangerous. We follow instructions. We try to eat healthy, whatever that means. But deep down, we've given up a bit of control. We've handed the wheel over to a system that, while powerful in many ways, doesn't always teach us how to protect ourselves before trouble arrives. Let me ask you something. When's the last time your doctor asked about what kind of seeds you eat? When did a nurse last recommend almonds or millet for cellular health? When has a medical ad encouraged you to sprinkle pumpkin seeds on your oatmeal instead of prescribing another pill? It's not that those professionals don't care. They absolutely do. But the system they work in is designed to treat, not teach. That's the difference. And here's the belief we need to gently challenge today. Only big solutions can fix big problems. We've been conditioned to think that if something is small, simple, or natural, it's not strong enough, that it's quaint, even naive. But tell that to a tiny seed that breaks through concrete to find the sun. Tell that to a spoonful of soil that holds more living organisms than people on the planet. Tell that to a drop of water that, given enough time, carves canyons. The truth is, small things done consistently shape our health more than heroic interventions done rarely. And seeds, real, living seeds, are proof. Each one is a miniature pharmacy created by nature. Inside that thin shell is a universe of compounds designed to protect, repair, and regenerate. Some of these compounds are so powerful that modern scientists still don't fully understand them. Let's talk about a few. Lignans, found in seeds like sesame and flax, are plant-based molecules that can block or reduce excess estrogen in the body. Why does that matter? Because some cancers, like breast and prostate cancer, grow faster in the presence of too much estrogen. Lignans may help keep that in check. Phytosterols, especially in nuts like macadamia and almonds, resemble cholesterol in structure, but instead of raising cholesterol, they lower it and may also interrupt the growth of cancer cells. Magnesium, a mineral found in abundance in pumpkin and sesame seeds, is like a master switch in the body. It calms nerves, regulates heartbeat, controls inflammation, and helps cells repair themselves. Polyphenols, abundant in millet and almonds, are antioxidants that go to war against free radicals, those rogue molecules that can damage DNA and trigger mutation. But here's where things get even more interesting. Some of these compounds don't work alone. They work together. For example, a seed might have lignans that slow tumor growth, and at the same time, it contains minerals that strengthen your immune system, and healthy fats that calm inflammation, making your entire internal environment less welcoming to abnormal cell growth. It's not just about one ingredient doing one thing. It's about a team of natural compounds working in harmony, feeding your body the way it was meant to be fed. And here's something even more beautiful. These compounds have no interest in disrupting your life. They don't come with long lists of side effects. They don't require a prescription. They don't destroy your good cells while fighting the bad ones. They simply support your body in doing what it already wants to do, heal. So why don't more people know about this? Partly because we're told to think in terms of treatment, not prevention. Partly because it's easier to sell a product than a practice. And partly because seeds are humble. They don't shout. They don't advertise. They just wait, patiently, for someone to pick them up and give them a chance. Now, this is not to say that seeds alone are a cure. That would be irresponsible. But they are part of a bigger truth we've forgotten, that what we eat every day becomes what we are. And when we feed our bodies nutrients that were grown by the sun, soaked by the rain, and cradled by the earth, we begin to remember what health really feels like. It's not about being perfect. It's about being consistent. It's about waking up and saying, "Today, I will add one good thing to my life. Maybe it's a spoonful of toasted sesame on your salad. Maybe it's soaking almonds overnight for a gentle morning snack. Maybe it's trying millet instead of rice for dinner. Small changes, day by day, meal by meal. You're not powerless. You're not at the mercy of genetics or fate. You have more influence over your health than you've been led to believe. And if you ever doubted that, I invite you to keep listening. Because in the next part, you'll meet someone who once felt exactly like you might feel right now. Worried, tired, and unsure of what could help. Until one quiet change started to turn everything around. Frank Miller never thought he'd be the one. He was the kind of man who always took care of himself, or so he believed. A retired high school teacher in a quiet Michigan town, Frank had never smoked, rarely drank, and walked every morning with his dog, Baxter. He kept his lawn trimmed, paid his bills on time, and volunteered at the local food bank on weekends. Life, he thought, was predictable. Until one October morning. It wasn't. It started with fatigue. Not just the usual kind after a long day, but a bone-deep tiredness that crept into his mornings and never quite left. Then came the weight loss, the frequent nighttime trips to the bathroom, and finally, the diagnosis: prostate cancer. I still remember the silence in the room when the doctor said the word, Frank told me. It was like the air got pulled out of my chest. I wasn't scared of dying, not really, but I was scared of becoming someone I didn't recognize, weak, dependent, invisible. He did what most people do. He listened to his doctors, started treatment, tried to stay positive, but the side effects came hard. Nausea, brain fog. His hands shook when he tried to write. His gums bled. His skin turned paper thin. And the worst part? The exhaustion deepened. The very thing he'd feared, becoming a shadow of himself, was happening, despite the best medicine. That's when his daughter, Emily, stepped in. She was a registered dietitian working in a small clinic in Oregon. She called him every week, listened patiently, and finally said something that changed everything. "Dad," she said gently, "maybe it's not just about fighting the cancer. Maybe it's also about feeding your body what it needs to remember how to fight." Frank was skeptical, but he trusted his daughter, so he agreed to try a new routine. Nothing drastic, nothing extreme. Just one simple rule. Every day, add something that grows. Emily sent him a package. Inside were 6 neatly labeled jars: macadamia nuts, ginkgo seeds, millet, sesame seeds, almonds, and pumpkin seeds. She included a little handwritten note. One seed might not change the world, but it might just change your day. Frank chuckled. Then he rolled up his sleeves and started experimenting. He added sesame seeds to his morning toast, soaked almonds overnight and snacked on them mid-morning, cooked millet with cinnamon and a splash of oat milk, popped pumpkin seeds on top of soups, tried a few ginkgo seeds in stir-fries, and kept a small handful of macadamia nuts by the TV for his late-night cravings. He didn't expect much, but something remarkable happened. By the end of the second week, his digestion improved. By week 3, he was sleeping through the night. By the end of the first month, his doctor noticed his energy was returning. Frank still remembers the smile on his doctor's face after a follow-up blood test. "Your inflammation markers are down. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it." He hadn't changed his medication. He hadn't joined a gym. He just started feeding himself differently. By the 3rd month, he'd regained 5 pounds. By month 6, he was back volunteering twice a week. His walks with Baxter got longer. His mind felt sharper. His mood lifted. When asked how he'd describe the change, Frank said it like this: "It was like I'd been living under a gray sky. And slowly, one seed at a time, the clouds began to part." Now, Frank isn't one to exaggerate. He knows these seeds didn't cure him, but they gave his body what it needed to recover, to resist, and to rebuild. Most importantly, they gave him something the cancer had started to take away: hope. "I used to think health was about not being sick," he said, "but now I think health is about how well you come back after something knocks you down." He's not alone. At his local community center, Frank started sharing his seed routine with others. A small group of retirees now meets every Thursday for seed and soup lunches. They swap recipes, talk about digestion, and support each other through health journeys, big and small. Frank even started printing out little cards with simple instructions. Soak your almonds overnight. Toast your millet before cooking. Add vitamin C to help absorb the minerals. Crush the seeds lightly if digestion's a challenge. And above all, eat with gratitude. His story continues to ripple outward, one seed at a time. 10 everyday habits that quietly increase cancer risk. You don't have to be reckless to endanger your health. In fact, some of the most harmful habits come from the kind of normal routines we don't think twice about. Especially as we age, what used to be harmless becomes riskier, not overnight, but over months and years of repetition. Here are 10 surprisingly common habits that could quietly be raising your cancer risk, and what you can start doing instead. Skipping nutrient-dense foods like seeds. It's easy to reach for toast, pasta, or cookies. They're quick, familiar, comforting. But the problem is, they lack what your body needs most: protective compounds. When you don't give your body the nutrients it needs to repair cells, balance hormones, and support the immune system, it's like asking a gardener to grow roses without sunlight. Frank Miller, the man you met earlier, didn't need a fancy diet. He just needed a few seeds a day, rich in magnesium, lignans, and antioxidants. Those tiny additions helped his body fight back. Start small, add sesame to your salad, or soak almonds overnight and snack on them with tea. It's not about being perfect, it's about being intentional. Avoiding healthy fats and fearing all oils. Many older adults grew up in the low-fat era, taught that fat equals heart disease. So we cut out nuts, oils, and seeds, only to replace them with sugar and processed carbs. But here's the truth. Your cells need fat to function, especially your brain, your hormones, and your immune system. And many anti-cancer compounds, like those in macadamia or almonds, are only absorbed properly when eaten with healthy fats. Macadamia nuts, for example, are 75% monounsaturated fat, the same kind found in olive oil. These fats don't clog arteries. They reduce inflammation, help transport nutrients, and even support memory. So don't fear fat. Fear the wrong fat. Choose whole sources like nuts and seeds over fried foods and margarine. Ignoring digestion issues. You might not think gas, bloating, or constipation have anything to do with cancer, but digestion is where your immune system begins. If your gut isn't absorbing nutrients well, your entire body struggles to function, and that includes its ability to fight abnormal cell growth. Pumpkin seeds, almonds, and millet contain fiber and zinc, which support digestive health. But here's the key. Soaking and lightly toasting seeds breaks down their outer layer, making them easier to digest and more bioavailable. Martha Green, age 72, used to pop handfuls of raw almonds and feel bloated for hours. Now she soaks them overnight, removes the skin, and says her stomach feels 20 years younger. Pay attention to your gut. It's whispering truths long before disease speaks. 4. Microwaving food in plastic containers. It's fast, it's easy, but it's also risky. When plastic containers are heated, especially in microwaves, they can release chemicals like BPA and phthalates into your food. These substances have been linked to hormone disruption and increased risk of certain cancers, particularly breast and prostate. Janet, a 68-year-old retired nurse, used to reheat leftovers daily in old takeout containers. After learning about the risks, she switched to using glass bowls with a ceramic plate as a lid. It was such a small change, she says, but it gave me peace of mind. If you're warming up food, avoid plastic, even the ones labeled microwave safe. Instead, go with glass, ceramic, or stainless steel. Your health is worth that extra plate to wash. Over-consuming sugar and refined carbs. We all crave comfort food, but sugar is more than a sweet indulgence. It's fuel for inflammation and a friend to abnormal cell growth. Studies have shown that high blood sugar levels and insulin resistance can feed certain types of tumors. And the culprits aren't just desserts. It's white bread, pasta, sugary drinks, and low-fat snacks loaded with hidden sugars. The problem? Sugar sneaks in where you least expect it. Frank Miller's daughter, Emily, helped him trade in his daily white toast and jam for millet porridge with cinnamon, nuts, and a drizzle of honey. Not only did his energy improve, but his blood sugar stabilized, helping his entire body feel stronger. Look at labels. Choose whole grains. And when you want sweet, choose fruit or small amounts of natural honey. Your body and your cells will thank you. Chronic dehydration. You might not feel thirsty, but that doesn't mean your body isn't dry. As we age, our sense of thirst dulls, and we often drink far less than we need. But hydration is vital for flushing out toxins, keeping your cells elastic, and supporting digestion and detoxification, key players in cancer prevention. Dehydrated tissues become more vulnerable to damage, and even mild dehydration can strain the liver and kidneys, the organs responsible for cleaning up our internal environment. Don't wait to feel parched. Sip throughout the day. Add slices of lemon, cucumber, or herbs to your water if plain water bores you. Herbal teas count too. Helen, 73, sets a timer to remind herself to drink. She keeps a glass jug of water next to her knitting chair. It's become part of my routine, she says, just like brushing my teeth. You're not soaking grains, nuts, and seeds. Before eating seeds are powerful, but they come with natural defenses. Many contain phytic acid, a compound that protects them in nature, but can interfere with your body's ability to absorb important minerals like zinc, iron, and magnesium when eaten in large amounts. Over time, this can weaken immunity, energy, and tissue repair, key factors in cancer prevention. Soaking seeds like almonds, sesame, or pumpkin in water for several hours, or overnight, breaks down that barrier, making nutrients easier to absorb and digestion smoother. George, 75, used to feel heavy and sluggish after eating trail mix. His wife started soaking the almonds and lightly toasting the pumpkin seeds, and suddenly his stomach was calm and his bathroom habits improved. Don't skip this step. Let your food do the healing it's meant to do. Sedentary lifestyle. It's easy to slow down as the years go by. But when movement stops completely, so does circulation, detoxification, and even hormone regulation. A sedentary lifestyle has been linked to increased cancer risk, particularly for colon, breast, and lung cancers. Lack of movement also contributes to weight gain, poor sleep, and low mood, creating the perfect storm for inflammation to thrive. But here's the good news. You don't need a gym membership. Frank Miller walks 20 minutes a day. Martha stretches while watching TV. Helen dances in her kitchen while the kettle boils. The key is to move your blood, even gently. Oxygen is life, and your cells need it. Start small. Even 5 minutes every hour counts. Your body was built to move. Dismissing stress and emotional overload. We often underestimate the toll stress takes, not just on our minds, but our bodies. Chronic stress raises cortisol, weakens immunity, disrupts sleep, and encourages inflammation. Over time, this internal imbalance can set the stage for illness to take hold, including cancer. Emotions are not separate from health. They are part of it. Martha Green began journaling after her husband's passing. Helen joined a choir. Frank now leads a weekly group discussion for retired men. Each found peace in different ways, but each one chose not to carry their pain alone. Talk to someone, meditate, pray, write, sing, laugh. Your emotional well-being is your immune system's best friend. 10. Believing it's too late to change. This may be the most dangerous habit of all, the quiet voice that says, "What's the point? I'm already too old." But here's what you must remember. Your body is always listening and always changing. Every cell in your body has a lifespan. Some live for weeks, others for just days. Your blood regenerates. Your gut lining replaces itself. Your brain forms new pathways, which means it's never too late to nourish your health. Frank was 67 when he made his changes. Helen was 74. Martha was 71. None of them waited to be perfect. They just took the next gentle step, So if you've been waiting for a sign, this is it. The 6 seeds cancer dreads. How to use them in daily life. You don't need to change everything overnight. You just need to begin. Below are 6 simple seeds, often overlooked, that can gently nourish your body, reduce inflammation, and support natural healing. Each one has a unique strength. Together, they form a powerful routine you can tailor to your own rhythm. Macadamia nuts, the gentle fat that fights back. Creamy, crunchy, and quietly powerful, macadamia nuts are more than a tasty snack. Roughly 75% of their fat content is monounsaturated, the same kind of fat found in olive oil. These fats don't clog arteries, they cleanse them. They reduce inflammation, help cells function smoothly, and protect against damage from oxidative stress. Macadamias are also rich in manganese and phytosterols, both of which may help protect cells from mutation, especially in the breast and prostate. How to use: eat 10-12 nuts, about 1 ounce. Daily grate in oatmeal with fruit or as an afternoon snack. Lightly toast for extra flavor, but avoid high heat. Real example, Dorothy, 69, used to crave cookies at night. Now she eats 5 macadamias with dark chocolate chips. I still get my treat, she smiles, but now it actually helps my body instead of hurting it. Ginkgo seeds, the resilient healer. Most know ginkgo biloba for memory, but its seeds carry a story of survival. The ginkgo tree famously survived the atomic bombing in Hiroshima, continuing to bloom while everything else turned to ash. This same resilience exists in its seeds, which contain compounds like ginkgolic acid, flavonoids, and terpenes, natural defenders against tumor growth, particularly in the breast and liver. But moderation is vital. Large amounts can cause side effects. Think of them like spice, powerful, but best used with care. How to use: limit to 5 to 10 seeds per day. Toast gently and add to soups or rice. Pairs well with mushrooms, ginger, or garlic in broths. Real example, Walter, 74, adds 3 crushed ginkgo seeds to his weekly miso soup. It reminds me of my grandmother's cooking, he says, and it gives me a sense of peace. 3. Millet, the ancient grain that defends quietly. Millet may be small, but it's one of the most antioxidant-rich grains on the planet. Packed with polyphenols, ferulic acid, and magnesium, it works behind the scenes to reduce oxidative stress, protect blood vessels, and calm the nervous system. It's especially valuable for colon and breast cancer prevention thanks to its fiber, polyphenol, and hormone-balancing lignans. In many African and Asian cultures, millet is a staple, yet in the West it's often forgotten, overshadowed by rice and wheat. But for seniors, it can be a gentle, nourishing alternative that brings balance back to the table. How to use: soak for at least 6 hours to reduce phytic acid. Toast lightly before cooking to enhance flavor. Cook like rice with cinnamon or turmeric for breakfast, can replace breadcrumbs or couscous in savory dishes. Real example, Linda, 70, used to feel bloated after rice. Now she makes golden millet with turmeric, garlic, and olive oil once a week. It helps my digestion, and I sleep better too. Sesame seeds, the tiny warrior with bone-building power. Few seeds are as versatile and as mighty as sesame. Rich in lignans like sesamin and sesamol, sesame seeds help fight free radicals and may slow the growth of colon and breast cancer cells. They're also a calcium superstar, up to 975 milligrams per 100 gram, even more than milk. Combine that with magnesium, and you've got a dynamic duo for bone strength, blood pressure, and overall cellular protection, especially important as we age. How to use: add 1 to 2 tablespoons daily, 10-20 grain. Sprinkle over salads, stir into yogurt, or blend into smoothies. Toast gently for extra aroma and better nutrient absorption. Real example, Eugene, 76, keeps a small jar of toasted sesame on the table. Instead of salt, I sprinkle sesame, he laughs. Tastes better, and my blood pressure's down. Almonds, the heart's friend and cancer's foe. Almonds have long been associated with longevity, especially in Mediterranean and Middle Eastern cultures. Rich in vitamin E, flavonoids, and polyphenols, almonds help guard cells against oxidative damage, particularly in the breast, colon, and prostate. They're also packed with magnesium and oleic acid, which support heart health, stabilize blood sugar, and reduce inflammation, 3 key pillars of cancer defense. But here's a tip: always soak almonds overnight. This removes phytic acid from the skin and makes the nutrients easier for your body to absorb. How to use: eat 20-30 grams daily, about 15-20 almonds. Soak overnight and peel before eating. Blend into smoothies, slice onto oatmeal, or eat plain as a snack. Real example: Sandra, 71, replaces her mid-morning cookie with 10 soaked almonds and a piece of fruit. "I have more energy, and I don't crash before lunch anymore," she says. Pumpkin seeds, the quiet powerhouse for men's health. They may look simple, but pumpkin seeds, also called pepitas, are rich in zinc, iron, and magnesium, and offer powerful protection for the prostate and immune system. Pumpkin seeds also contain lignans, compounds that help regulate hormone balance, especially valuable for men over 60 and women navigating menopause. With anti-inflammatory properties and gentle fiber, these seeds support digestion and detoxification while protecting DNA from harmful mutations. How to use: eat 1 ounce daily, 28-30 gray, lightly toast for flavor, or eat raw, blend into soups, sprinkle on salads, or add to smoothies. Real example: Tom, 68, keeps a jar of roasted pumpkin seeds in his car. "Better than chips," he grins, "and it helps my bladder too." What if the answers we've been looking for were always close by? What if the most powerful step toward health didn't come from a hospital, but from your own kitchen? Seeds are quiet. They don't make headlines. They don't cost much. They don't come with dramatic promises or complicated instructions. But what they offer is hope. Hope in the form of gentle healing. Hope in the shape of renewed energy. Hope tucked inside something small, waiting to grow. You don't need to change everything at once. You just need to begin. Start with a single handful, 1 spoonful, 1 sprinkle on your salad. Choose 1 new seed this week. Let your body feel the difference. Then add another, and another. Your cells are always listening. Your body is always rebuilding. Your future is not set in stone. Whether you're 60 or 90, your story isn't over. And you don't need a miracle to feel better, just a moment of courage and a little curiosity. Remember Frank Miller? He didn't wait for perfect timing. He didn't overhaul his life overnight. He started with a single suggestion from his daughter, and now he shares seeds and stories every Thursday with friends. If Frank can do it, so can you. And if this video spoke to you, please, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who needs encouragement. Leave a comment and tell us which seed you'll try first. Like the video if it gave you something to think about. And if you believe in gentle healing, follow us for more. Because small things, when done with love, are never small. You're not powerless. You're not behind. You're just 1 seed away from something beautiful. So, why not start today?